Welcome into this latest edition of the Charleston County Connects podcast. I'm your host, Sean Smetana. I'm joined by Spencer Antos from Zoning and Planning. And this may seem like a simple question, but what is the purpose of zoning as it relates to Charleston County and the unincorporated areas?
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So zoning is essentially, it is a process of what you use to see if what you can do, like building or placing a structure or operating a business, is allowed on that property.
So it really helps kind of show people what they can and in some cases cannot do on their property. And that's where a lot of your work comes in with code enforcement. And what are some of the most common violations you see when it comes to code enforcement?
So some of the most common violations are actually things that you would need a permit for, a zoning permit. And these can be things such as unpermitted additions, sheds, clearing and grubbing of your property, running a business off your property without a business license, things like that.
One instance actually came across when it through our public information email is if somebody's operating a business in the city of Charleston, because jurisdictional lines can get a little wonky from time to time, if they're bringing that business into unincorporated Charleston County, what do they have to do?
Yeah, so they would just apply for a business license with the revenue collections.
So they would need a business permit with Charleston County in order to continue operating that business, even though it already exists.
Correct. A business license. Yes.
A business license.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned some of the different permitting uses on the property. A shed is an interesting one. So you go to the store and you buy one of those ready-made sheds, or even if you're building one, you do have to get a permit to put that on your property?
Correct, yeah. Prior to placing any structure over 120 square feet, you'll just need a zoning permit. And then after that, you'll get a building permit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned clearing and what was the term you used? Grubbing?
Grubbing, yes.
That's an interesting one. What is grubbing?
So grubbing is basically when you're disturbing the soil. Think of like a grub, like a worm.
Okay.
So like you're disturbing the soil, you're unearthing it, you're exposing it, you're changing the natural grade. So that's what grubbing is. So if you're cutting down trees, digging up the dirt, causing a lot of changes in the natural, topography, you'll need a permit for that, a zoning permit.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are a lot of variations of trees in Charleston County. Are there certain trees that you need a permit for, or certain trees you don't need a permit for to cut down?
There are. It's always recommended to have an arborist come out from the county. It's free and it's costs nothing, and unless you want to hire your own private arborist, that's always a good call. As far as trees, pine trees and sweet gum trees are exempt unless they're in like an industrial zone property or commercial, that kind of higher use. But for the most part, pine trees and sweet gum trees are exempt. Now, anything over 24 inches in diameter, which is going to be the circumference of the tree, essentially, anything over that 24 inches diameter at breast height is going to be protected. So live oaks, magnolias, even crepe myrtles, all protected.
Okay. Best case scenario for people who do want to make changes to their property, what's the process they need to go through? Whether they need a permit or not, it's probably better to check beforehand.
Yeah, a good thing to do is to ask it depends what kind of change you want to make on your property. Like if you want to add a business or put a new shed in or make a mother-in-law suite in your backyard. That's just something you have to apply with the zoning department.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we will include all the contact information for zoning and planning in the episode description. I'm sure you run into situations where somebody maybe didn't get a permit ahead of time, work has started, or somebody noticed that there was a violation on property. What's the process from there? I'm sure you contact the citizens, try to get them to come into compliance.
Yeah, that's correct. If somebody does have a violation on their property, the first thing is we'll contact them, and hopefully we can work things out, get a permit, so we don't have to go to court. Now, if things are egregious, of course, sometimes we do have to issue summonses to appear in court. But for the majority of times, we like to work things out with people. So
Okay. Well, and I think the name of the game here is better to ask first, check for the information before you make any changes. And again, this does deal specifically with properties that are in unincorporated Charleston County. Is that correct?
Of course, yeah. It's a lot easier to ask first, especially when it comes to building or placing structures. As you probably may or may not know, it's expensive to build. And especially if you build in the wrong spot, it's expensive to demolish and then build it again.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier just to ask one time and be done with it. Measure twice, cut once. So
It's a good thing to live by.
Yeah.
And of course, Spencer and the rest of the team at Charleston County Zoning and Planning are available to answer any questions. Spencer, thank you for your time.
thank you so much.